AI is a dangerous tool. I would say understand the ethical decisions that you're making as you're building things out, and make sure that you're comfortable with whatever choices you make.
Welcome to High Agency, igniting conversations with inspiring people, leading transformative change.
Welcome to High Agency at Web Summit. We're talking to founders, builders, and thinkers. And my name is Mo Dhaliwal. I'm joined here with Mohan Gulati from Thinkrr. Mohan's the co-founder and CEO.
Yep.
And we're going to be talking about voice AI and smart websites.
Okay.
Or at least that's the way it was pitched to me in the exhibition hall downstairs. So, we also, I think, are living in a bit of an era where there's also some contention, some question like, isn't everything going to be AI now? Do we even need websites anymore? Is this dead? Why do they need to be smart? Is voice actually going to work? So why don't you tell us a little bit about what Thinkrr actually does and what you're doing?
I mean, it's a great question. And first of all, Thinkrr.AI we're solving the challenge of end-to-end customer experience, right? Starting from your sales to your customer onboarding, all the way into customer support, right? And we're injecting voice AI into that area. Now, you talked about right off the bat, like, what is the platform, right? So right now, Thinkrr.AI is working on phone, so both inbound and outbound calls. Think of your receptionists, right? Or think of your follow-ups that you want to do, or your event-based follow-ups. So whether it's a list of clients that you have and prospects that you want to follow up with, that's where, the inbound and outbound calling plays into it. But our digital business card is still the website, right? And having voice AI on there is like adding a voice to a static page and giving it life and injecting something brand new into it. So what we're doing by going down this strategy is actually reviving something that is kind of, in a way you're talking about, losing value, by reinvigorating it by doing this. Now, is this a long-term or short-term strategy? Time will tell, but one thing's for sure, we still rely on that digital card, right? And that's part of how we think and work still.
Yeah. So, I mean, as much as I think you're in a really interesting space, as I was kind of like learning about you and your background, equally fascinated by your background and how you kind of arrived here. Like, you were working with Fortune 100 companies, companies with 9,000 employees, $1 billion in market cap and over. And some would say, fairly cushy role, like quite successful.
Yeah.
So why did you want to do a startup? Like, what was the impetus? Like, what you want to?
Always been an entrepreneur. So, like, if I go back to like some storytelling, like, I started off my career working in my parents' variety store. All right, so that was me, the kid who did that. I was in junior achievement. Like, I
Were you behind the counter? Like,
I was behind the counter. Right? All right. My mom owned a video rental store to begin with before the variety store. Like, I was always kind of an entrepreneur. So that part of my spirit never left me. And I've actually done 2 or 3 different startups, right? But yes, I've also, because I'm an entrepreneur, I was able to also own, portfolios of work and work for like big consultants managing $40 to $50 million in portfolios with the type of Fortune 100 companies you talked about. And what's always kind of been part of that phase is like, how do we help them grow? But being able to go into this on my own and start it from scratch is something that's always been part of, like, it feels like it's part of my story that needed to be completed. And that kind of drew me back into, the world of entrepreneurship.
Gotcha. So there was still something left, itch you had to scratch.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's interesting because now from your early childhood, it makes way more sense. Because I would say from your profile, from the outside looking in, I was like, okay, this guy's worked with like Nokia, like, massive companies. And so I was wondering, like, because there's a culture to massive enterprise, right? So I'm wondering, like, what is there about massive enterprise culture that would translate into the space that you're going into?
Yeah.
Was there experiences from massive enterprise that help a startup? Were there any like habits that maybe hurt even?
Oh, I mean, so one of the things that I'll talk about is like results, right? Very OKR driven, very KPI driven kind of mindset that I have. And that came from working with enterprises, right? And I think what I learned there is how to be an executionist, right? Working with enterprise companies about results, about being able to go through difficult moments and persevere and get results. So whether it's, the Starbucks of the world, or it's the First Americas of the world, or CIBC, it doesn't matter. They all require that startup mentality within their company. And that's kind of what I did for them. So even though I was working for enterprises, it was always bringing in that, how do you get shit done?
Yeah.
Right? How do you get it done really, really fast?
I mean, what you're describing, you're sounding almost like an entrepreneur in residence, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, it's fascinating. So then you decided to make the leap into AI, your latest startup.
Yeah.
And that's how we arrived at Thinkrr and voice AI particularly.
Yeah.
So what's been actually really cool about Web Summit, in Vancouver, is that I feel like there's enough AI contrarians and AI skeptics
Yes, there are.
that are kind of peppered into the mix, and I think that's healthy. It creates a good tension in the conversation.
Yeah.
But I think you would agree that it's a ridiculously hyped space, right? And there are so many AI startups. It's a lot of noise. What are you doing to actually bring your unique value out and talk about the unique story of what you're providing?
Yeah. I mean, so let me first address like what you said about the contrarian. I think that's important to have. Any healthy debate needs to always look at things in a balanced way, right? It has to. Uh, I kind of meditate every day. So for me, that's part of my personality, is always to look at things and reflect on what's happening. When I look at the space of AI, what's happening is that it's not just a hype, right? And it's really, if you look long term, it's a shift. There's a shift in the way you think. The same way that, you would be in a car and you'd be driving down in the 1980s and you think, oh, I've got to call somebody up now, make a note in your notebook, or even just say it out loud. So you tell your significant other, hey, remind me when I get home, I have to call this person. You don't do that anymore, right? It's a shift in thinking. You just think, oh, I have to call this person. You just take out your phone right away and you're having that conversation right away, right? It's a shift in how you think and a shift in what you're doing. And AI is providing that opportunity as well. Now, your second question, or maybe part of that question, is what are we doing to differentiate ourselves, and how we're focusing on how does AI allow for more space for human connection, right? So we don't believe that voice AI is going to replace the human to human connection. I actually believe that that's going to create more space for it, right? Because a lot of the conversations that you have in a business is based on things that you can answer really, really quickly. You don't need to, spend that initial time on, and you can get quick responses, right? It's not always that I want to call Mo up and have a long engaged, hey, how you doing, buddy? How's it going? Right? Like, this is great. But like, sometimes I just want to like, Mo, what time you open? Great. Okay, cool. I'm coming. And I can do that now with a receptionist that can answer that question immediately. That's a shift in thinking, right? Shift in how the consumer of that good thinks, and also a shift in how you operate your business, right? Because you can provide a lot of value, yet still be not disconnected from the client, because now you have more time to spend with them in a meaningful way.
Yeah, as you're talking through it, actually, I'm thinking of some scenarios like many companies that you might go looking for, or you're looking for customer service. But why do you go to the website? Like myself, like 9 times out of 10, I'm hunting for a contact number. Like, oh God, can I just cut through all of this and find a source of truth somewhere that can respond to me?
And that's a really good use case, because like if you want to just, go to the website and contact somebody, imagine you click on a button, you get a voice agent, and you're just saying, can you please connect me or find a time when I can talk to Mo? And it says, yeah, Mo's available tomorrow at this time. Would you like me to book you in? Yes, absolutely. Or you know what? Is he available right now? Yeah, he is. Can I do a transfer? Perfect. Right. Those types of experiences are going to shift how we can interact with people.
And what have you seen on the market for your product? Like, is it you know is it immediately obvious where the value is? Is it a lot of shiny object syndrome, where you've got voice and AI in the name, and people say, well,
Yeah.
we're supposed to do something with AI, so hey, let's talk.
I think, um, especially as we've been kind of established now in the market for like almost 10 months, we've been live. What we have 350 clients that are using us, and paid clients that are using us. And what we're seeing is that a lot of people come initially and they don't have any understanding of what they can even do with voice AI. They're like, oh, voice AI, I think I can, we have a reseller platform, so they can come back. I can sell that.
So that's the shiny object
That's
syndrome.
what shiny. That is exactly it, right? And it's those people that they come and go.
Yeah.
You don't stick around long enough, right?
Yeah.
On the opposite side of the spectrum, there are people that are doing deep thought, and they're reinventing workflows and automations and customer exchange value to be able to actually do something that moves the needle, right? So I'll give you an example. You know, focus on home niches. Somebody who works repairing roofs, right? They spend a lot of time actually on the roof. They can't answer the calls that are coming.
Or at least they shouldn't.
They shouldn't, right? But they have a pipeline of people that are calling them all the time that they can't get back to fast enough. And as kind of a common understanding is, if somebody calls you and you don't pick up the phone, I'm calling the next business right away. I'm not waiting, right? Because I want my business to be handled. So that's changing, right? This person in particular had 19 calls answered in a span of 16 days. That represented 150K. Now, in itself, you say 150K, not a big deal. But if you extrapolate that over the year, that's now extrapolated into like hundreds and hundreds of thousands, and over years, millions and millions of dollars now in revenue that they weren't getting before, right? So there is really an economical thing, but you have to really understand that, and you have to be able to find the right people that can leverage it right away.
Mhm. I mean, as I'm hearing you talk more, like Thinkrr.AI seems like such a great personality fit for you as well, because I feel like there's a very particular execution that you're providing.
Yeah.
And you've described from your history, very execution focused.
Yeah.
How do you find the right people? Like, how do you build a team? And how do you get that sort of execution mindset?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure, correct me if I'm wrong, but you might have hired, engineers in the startup that
Yeah.
had never heard of an OKR, right? So how do you translate that? How do you bring that like real execution focus into now startup?
I've, I guess I've had good fortune in my life that people have always found me charismatic. I've attracted really strong talent. So when people heard that I was going to a startup, I got some really good talent to just come with me. In fact, at a pay cut, right? Because startup world, you all kind of hands in and betting on what we're building. So I was able to bring people that did hear of OKRs, people who were really strong in their discipline. So a very strong person in UX and design, like anything, a very strong partner in the CTO space, right? Attracting people that understood marketing better than I understood it, or revenue generation than I even understood it. So I kind of surrounded myself by the right pieces, and then we strategically we went to the norm. You'll hire some people, especially like in the development world, where you hire some people and you'll find mm, they're not that good actually. So we go through a little bit of that in the beginning, but I think 3 months, 3 to 4 months, we started to find the right talent, and that's accelerated our growth. In fact, our team I'm really super proud of them. They are highly coachable, and they all believe in the vision. So I know how to hire for culture fit, right? And that's kind of what of course you want to make sure the basic skills are there, but then it's about culture fit. And I always start off this by saying our culture is about radical candor. You're not going to hear things like, in a review 3 months later, if you do something that is great, you're going to hear about it that day, that moment. If you do something that needs to be a learning moment, we're going to have that conversation right away. Yeah. So, and that's not something that everybody knows how to do, but because I've built that kind of culture before in enterprises, I know how to execute that. And that's what I brought into this company as well.
Yeah. I mean, I love radical candor even as a hook. I think early stage of our agency, like when I was at Skyrocket Digital, I did the candor part really well, but I maybe not the bedrock of trust and good relationships with people. So it was just candor all the time, right?
Yeah.
And so I think like the prerequisite that you must have, right? And I mean, frankly, it comes down to likability, right? Yes, this is our first conversation. You seem like a really nice guy.
Yeah.
But you gotta like who you're working with, right? And if you can like who you're working with, and if you trust them, that seems to be most of the equation.
Well, so you took the word radical out and talked about candor. I think the radical part of the conversation is, are you adding value? Are you actually helping somebody get better? Right? Because this teaching moment doesn't mean you're saying, hey, you suck, you weren't good at this, you should do that better. It's about how might you have done this differently, right? Turning it into a kind of like, this is my feedback. There's another really good book from Netflix that's called Netflix Break the Rules or something like that. And what they talk about is the 4 A's. And it's all about how you give feedback to people. And part of that 4 A's also like giving feedback in a way that is constructive, but also something that as somebody who's getting that feedback, I can choose to accept that feedback or not to accept that feedback, right?
Yeah.
And I think that that's an important part of the equation. I can't expect, even as somebody who may be the boss, to say that because I gave you that feedback, you accept it.
Yeah.
You know that, and if you build a culture where you're doing that, you already lost the equation.
Yeah.
People are not going to stay. They're not going to work for you.
Totally. And I think sometimes what we get wrong, especially when we're coaching, is that we think the power dynamic is that, I'm the coach, right? But actually the power is entirely with the receiver,
Yeah.
because they get to choose whether they do something with that or not.
Absolutely. I mean, you can provide feedback to anybody. If they choose not to act on that, that's not something I have control over.
Yeah. Like in building teams and kind of going through, the startup sort of trajectory, it sounds like you've been through this a couple of times. Is there something new that you're learning with Thinkrr.AI that is still continuing to evolve your leadership?
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that I'm relearning is around there's different aspects to a business, right? When you start a business up that is, at a revenue of 100,000 over a year, is very different than a company that is in the millions of dollars a year, right? And you start thinking about all aspects of the business. I've never thought about things like customer support the way I've thought about it in this business, right? The amount of both wins and losses that I've had in that area have been something that I learn every day from, right? And I think part of who I am and my dynamics is I'm always like, okay, we'll wake up this morning. How are we gonna do something one better than yesterday, right? It's not satisfied with just okay, good is not good enough, right? All right, we got that, the ratio down to only 10% of customers had challenges that are left open from yesterday. How do we get that down to 8%, right? So it's that constant pushing. You're feel like I'm learning, but as a result of that, I am learning new things every day.
Yeah.
And customer support is definitely one of those areas.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's pretty gratifying to hear because, correct me if I'm wrong, but when you said that this is the first time you're actually full cycle startup, basically building.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, the other startups I did never grew to this magnitude, right? Now, of course, I've handled organizations, but when you're inside of a consulting group, you're handling a certain dimension of the relationship.
Yeah, it's your slice.
Yeah, right. So, and I have other people that I can who are responsible and accountable, and I'm just asking questions, right? So it's very different in the startup world where you're not just asking questions, you're actually leading those teams as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so Thinkrr.AI for, where you've grown it to in what sounds like a pretty rapid trajectory. I mean,
It's been fast, yeah.
10 months, 350 paying clients, congrats on that, first of all.
So much. Yeah.
But you've obviously were able to attract your leadership, your team, with a vision that you presented. So what does this company actually look like when Thinkrr.AI has fully realized its potential? What change have you brought? What does the world look like?
I think it's a world where you are able to, first of all, see businesses grow tremendously without friction, leveraging technology that doesn't feel like technology, right? So narrowing that down to something more tangible. Um, you walk into a property, right? And it's an Airbnb that you just rented. And you have a concierge that comes there and it's voice AI and you're speaking to it and it can answer, how do you use the microwave, right? Or how do you use the dishwasher? But then you say, you know what, I'd like to go out today and I don't know this area. What can I do? And it's connected to everything around you and you can answer those questions. To me, that's fulfilling something that's a need that's not there today, right? And it's something that I do. If you try to call a property manager when you go to an Airbnb, they don't pick up the phone. And they will not tell you, where to go to unless they have an exclusive business deal with that particular place.
Yeah.
You're on your own. You're figuring it out. You're doing sometimes hours of research before you go to a place to find out where, I want to take my kids to. What are the events that are happening this week, etc. Imagine again a shift. I know now that when I arrive at that location, I'm going to be able to get those answers because AI is part of that solution that I have now. Right?
I'm just smiling because I'm so alive to the scenario you're presenting. Because I live in a condo, and the number of times in my lobby, I see entire families just standing around like deer in the headlights, utterly confused. Yeah, I'm like, okay, Airbnb guests, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's just one,
And that's one area.
vision, right? There's so many different ways that we can change things and make things better.
I mean, we're at Web Summit. There's a ton of alpha startups, as there always are, and then beta and various other tracks. What advice would you have to somebody that's looking to get into AI today? Like, what are people getting right? What are people getting wrong?
I'm gonna first just say, like, there's a tremendous amount of smart people here. Doesn't matter what stage they're in. And one of the things I always do is I just leave my mind open to listening to everybody. Absolutely. Right. So I've seen solutions that you might call as alpha, pre-cons, pre-seed, pre-funding, not even pre-revenue, but they're just geniuses. They know what they're doing. Um, but where I can maybe be of assistance is in the world of play by the rules, right? AI is a dangerous tool. I would say understand the ethical decisions that you're making as you're building things out, and make sure that you're comfortable with whatever choices you make. Right? I think that's really important. An example is like people keep on asking me, "Well, it's voice AI. Can I, record my voice and have calls go out from that mimic myself?" And I have not because it's technically challenging, but because
It's not technically challenging right now.
no, it's not. It's like you can do that with 20 seconds of your voice recorded, right? Um, but I don't allow that on the platform. And the reason is because I don't want to be in a situation where I'm enabling somebody to fool somebody,
Yeah.
right? And okay, maybe but these are choices. These are the choices that I've made already and I'm making. Doesn't mean tomorrow there might not be a use case where it makes sense to do that. But this is how I've kind of and again, these are choices that come up all the time and they're micro choices. How do you handle call recordings? How secure is your platform? Is it locked down? There's lots of things like this that you have to make decisions as you're running these startups, and these have major implications.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the thing that you're most excited about right now?
Oh boy. I think what really excites me is this vision of a virtual assistant. Um. Oh, s- the
Oh, sorry, we're going to back up there for a second. Just because it threw me off. Otherwise, it would be fine. We'll cut this part out.
end of all.
Yeah. All right. So the question was, what's really exciting you right now?
I really think it's the vision of a virtual assistant. Um.
Your face lights up every time you talk.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because it's the fulfillment of something that I personally need.
Yeah.
Right? It's being able to, come out of a meeting, or even here at Web Summit, talk to 5 people and just call somebody up and say, "I just met this person, add it to my CRM, make a note with that, and by the way, tomorrow I wanna call them back." Right? Be able to do that with a virtual assistant, is kind of something that gets me super excited. That's something that we're working towards by the end of the year to build, and it knows your business. It knows who's on your team. It knows all your contacts. It knows what you mean when you say, an acronym. It understands you, right? So it's both personalized to who you are and what your business is about. So if you use a word that's common in the industry, like "make a note," what does that mean? Does that mean you want me to make a note in Notion? Does that mean you want me to make a note in the CRM? Like, these are things that people there's so many ways everybody works.
Yeah.
And being able to solve that really excites me.
And actually working with you as like a partner.
Yes.
Yeah. No, that use case sounds pretty exciting. And to kind of take it back to full circle, what you said at the beginning, I imagine that would leave a lot more room for human connection, right? If you're not doing data entry and trying to manage all the little bits and bobs of information we have to say, okay, I've got help, this will be taken care of, and now I can get back to just meeting and talking to people.
Let me tell you the amount of times my team will ask me questions like, "Mohan, why are you doing this?" They'll talk about a task, right? Whether it's, and they'll say, "This is admin. Why are you doing this admin task?" And I'm like, "Well, who else is going to do it?" Right, like, there's nobody else to do it. You guys are too busy, coding or, building things. Like, I'm not gonna ask you to do it. So, I think having a virtual assistant, every person can use one, right? And it takes away that admin work that you do, and that excites me because that's really now freeing up. Well, first of all, like, we think about human connection. We're not just talking about human connection with a client. We're talking about human connection with your family, with the people that you wanna spend more time with. That's what I think needs to open up. We are in a world today where, especially like in the startup world, where you work 12, 14 hours, 16 hours sometimes, and that doesn't leave a lot of room for other things. I don't believe that's the way it should be.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And look, that's a great note to end on.
Okay.
Um, if somebody wants to learn more about Mohan Gulati and your journey as a startup founder and leader, or about Thinkrr.AI, where should they go?
I mean, first and foremost, please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. Mohan Gulati, just search for me, you'll find me, or MOGULATI is my handle. And of course, the website where you can find out more about Thinkrr, it's THINKRR.AI.
We'll put it in the note. Well, yeah, we'll help you out. We'll put it in the note.
Thank you. Yeah, they didn't have ER available, so we went with double R.
All right. Well, thanks, Mohan.
Thank you so much.
Oh,
Appreciate it.
all right.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully we've given you a lot to think about. That was High Agency. Like and subscribe, and we will see you next time.